Good afternoon and salam Malaysia Madani. You're watching World Today. I'm Sahih Samsudin. Before the full bulletin, here are the top 10 stories. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Dr. Ahmad Zahid Hamidi expressed hope that Indonesia will provide greater access for Malaysian works, particularly books and art, to strengthen cultural and intellectual ties between the two serumpun nations. He also noted that the screening of Malaysian films in Indonesia remains limited compared with the wide presence of Indonesian films in Malaysia. Ukrainian and Russian negotiators met in Abu Dhabi to discuss the critical issue of territory, but no compromise was reported. The talks come as intensified Russian strikes on Ukraine's energy system have left major cities including Kiev without power and heating amid freezing temperatures. Japanese Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi faced criticism from activists and residents for dissolving the lower house, with many calling the move illogical and irresponsible. The 465-seat House of Representatives was formally dissolved on Friday, with a general election scheduled for 8th February. New Jersey Governor Mickey Sherrill has declared a state of emergency for all 21 counties as a dangerous and unusually severe winter storm is expected. The storm is forecast to bring heavy snow, freezing temperatures and strong winds across much of the eastern United States through the weekend.
I've directed all the transportation heads to execute.
A major winter storm is prompting shoppers in Tulsa, Oklahoma to rush for essentials. At a Tulsa Walmart, shelves for eggs, water, produce and cold cuts were quickly running out as residents prepared to stay home. All bodies from the ill-fated Indonesia Air Transport ATR 42500 were recovered on Friday after nearly a week of joint search and rescue operations at Bulu Saro Hill in South Sulawesi. The suspected black box from the aircraft, which belonged to the Indonesian Marine Affairs and Fisheries Ministry, was handed over to the National Transportation Safety Committee on Thursday. A blast during a wedding in Dera Ismail Khan, Pakistan killed at least 5 people and injured at least 10 others on Friday. The explosion took place at the house of the city's Taliban Peace Committee chief Nur Alam Mahsood, while doctors initially received 3 dead bodies and 7 injured. Malaysia continued its medal charge at the ASEAN Para Games in Thailand, winning 18 golds in athletics, swimming, powerlifting and table tennis to remain in the top 3 of the standings. In table tennis, Janatul Fahmi Ahmad Jannah and Gloria Garcia Wongzi won gold in the men's single TT11 and women's single TT10 events respectively. 2021 All-England champion Lee Zijia will miss this year's tournament in March after being named on the reserve list for the Super 1000 badminton tournament. The 2024 Paris Olympic bronze medalist, now ranked 103rd in the world, falls short of the top 32 needed to compete. Chinese mythological figures and horses lit up a lantern festival in Zigong to celebrate the upcoming Lunar New Year of the horse on 17 February. More than 200 handmade lanterns, including a 210-meter Kunpeng and a 180-meter Mulan, were created by over 1,200 workers for the event. That's today's top news. Up next, the complete World Today Bulletin, bringing you the details that matter. Thanks for staying with us. TVET cooperation between Malaysia and Indonesia should be expanded to strengthen regional human capital development. The Deputy Prime Minister, Datuk Seri Dr. Ahmad Zahid Hamidi said the effort is important to meet current industry needs and improve workforce employability.
Pada hemat saya, keadaan ini telah berubah ya sekarang, di mana pelajar Indonesia yang berada di Malaysia sekarang ini pada tahun ini saja 11,000 ya, tahun ini saja. Jadi ini memperlihatkan bahawa perkembangan bidang pendidikan antara Malaysia dan Indonesia itu sebagai satu timbal balas yang cukup baik.
He said during the premier gala dinner held in conjunction with the 50th Golden Jubilee celebration of the Indonesian Higher Education Alumni Association. Malaysia, through the National TVET Council, has also established cooperation with several regions in Indonesia. On a different note, Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Seri Dr. Ahmad Zahid Hamidi expressed hope that Indonesia will provide greater access for Malaysian creative works, particularly books and art, to enter its market as a step towards strengthening cultural and intellectual ties between the two serumpun nations.
Kita lihat dengan mudah buku-buku daripada Indonesia dibawa masuk ke Malaysia. Kenapa buku-buku dari Malaysia tidak boleh dibawa masuk ke Indonesia? Kubu ini harus dipecahkan. Dan kita mesti membuka ruangan seluas-luasnya di dalam pertukaran ilmu ini melalui buku-buku. Kalau lagu-lagu dari Indonesia boleh dibawa ke negara kita dan lagu-lagu kita boleh dibawa ke Indonesia, tetapi dengan syarat dirakam di Indonesia. Dan ini mesti diberikan ruangan yang luas kepada artis-artis Malaysia.
At the same time, Datuk Seri Dr. Ahmad Zahid, who is also the Minister of Rural and Regional Development, touched on the screening of Malaysian films in Indonesia, which he noted remains limited compared to the prevalence of Indonesian films in Malaysia. He hoped that the close ties between Malaysia and Indonesia would continue to be strengthened, not just through official diplomatic relations, but also through culture, language and shared thought. Ukrainian and Russian negotiators met in Abu Dhabi on Friday to tackle the vital issue of territory, with no sign of a compromise as Russian attacks plunged Ukraine into the deepest energy crisis of the nearly 4-year war. Kiev is under mounting US pressure to reach a peace deal in the war triggered by Russia's full-scale invasion in February 2022, with Moscow demanding Kiev cede its entire eastern industrial area of Donbas before it stops fighting. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said the territorial dispute would be a top priority of the talks in the United Arab Emirates. The negotiations in the Gulf are expected to continue on Saturday. The talks unfold against a backdrop of intensified Russian strikes on Ukraine's energy system that have cut power and heating to major cities like Kiev as temperatures hover well below freezing. Russian President Vladimir Putin's demand that Ukraine surrender the 20% it still holds of the Donetsk region of the Donbas. Zelensky refuses to give up land that Russia has not been able to capture in 4 years of grinding attritional warfare. Japanese activists and residents criticized Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi's decision to dissolve the lower house as illogical and irresponsible, saying it ignored the current state of the domestic economy and people's livelihoods. Japan's House of Representatives was formally dissolved on Friday at the outset of the ordinary parliamentary session, with a general election set for 8 February. Takaichi announced that she would dissolve the 465-seat lower house for a snap election, aiming to capitalize on her cabinet's current high approval ratings. At the rally site, Hiroshi Kaoshi, a member of the Centrist Reform Alliance, who had just left the House of Representatives dissolution meeting, expressed his regret over the decision.
極めて国民生活を置き去りにするですね、予算案を放り投げたわけですから、非常識な。高市さんはその大義についてね、私のことどう思うってこの前聞かれたわけですよね。高市内閣どう思うって大義を掲げられたので、私どもは高市内閣は信任せずと、高市内閣を倒して、みんなの生活を支える。
Protesters and residents also said that the decision has added more uncertainty to Japan's political and economic instability. United Nations aid agencies have partially restored access to Syria's Al-Hol camp, but warned that insecurity continues to hamper full humanitarian operations in the area. UN Deputy Spokesperson Farhan Haq on Friday said the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, UNHCR, was able to enter the camp with Syrian government officials and make contact with some residents.
Essential supplies have also resumed. Trucks carrying bread entered the camp today, facilitated by UNHCR, following a 3-day interruption caused by the volatile security situation inside the camp.
Haq said water trucking services organised by UN Children's Fund were also delivered, helping to restore limited access to basic services. An inter-agency mission led by UNHCR reached facilities outside the camp perimeter to support the resumption of water services, though entry into the camp itself remained impossible due to security concerns. UN agency also underscored the need to ensure safety inside the camp and to facilitate movement of personnel and supplies between Hassak and Kamishli. New Jersey Governor Mickey Sherrill declared a state of emergency for all 21 counties as the state prepares for what she described as a dangerous and unusually severe winter storm on Friday. Sherrill warned of heavy and widespread snow, freezing temperatures, and wind gusts up to 30 miles per hour, urging residents to avoid travel from Saturday evening through all of Sunday.
I'm also announcing a commercial vehicle travel restriction on interstate highways as a safety precaution to prevent incidents that could delay first responders and impede our plowing efforts. The Department of Transportation will provide additional parameters. There may be further impacts on rail, bus, and private car service, which we will announce if depending on the forecast that we are receiving.
The governor said the storm is expected to bring 8 to 12 inches of snow to South Jersey and 12 to 18 inches in North Jersey, with the highest totals likely in the northwest. She said impacts are forecast from Saturday night through early Monday afternoon and noted a cold weather advisory is in effect. A major winter storm began moving east across the U.S., bringing deadly cold and the threat of power outages and treacherously icy roads to almost half of the nation's population and prompting more than a dozen governors to declare states of emergency. More than 150 million Americans were under some form of weather emergency notices from the National Weather Service. In Tulsa, Oklahoma, shoppers rushed to stock up on essentials ahead of expected travel disruption amid a major winter storm. At a Tulsa Walmart neighborhood market, tea staples were vanishing fast.
I got the last flight of 12 eggs, a dozen of eggs. So they're out of eggs. There's no bacon. There's no butter. No unsalted butter. There's some salted butter, but you know, if you're trying to watch, you know, sodium and stuff, you're gonna have to look around for some unsalted butter.
This could last a week before you can get out of your house. You know, it could. You better stock up a little bit if you have any money.
With flights cancelled across the region and warnings affecting millions of Americans, forecasters say the coming days will challenge even experienced winter preppers. We continue with the next story. All bodies from the ill-fated Indonesia air transport ATR 42-500 were recovered on Friday, following nearly a week of joint search and rescue operations at the crash site on the slope of Bulu Sarung Hill in South Sulawesi. The head of operations at Makassar Basarnas, Andi Sultan, confirmed that the final body was found, raising the total recovered to 10. The aircraft, registered as PK-THT, was carrying 7 crew members and 3 passengers when it lost contact with air traffic control around noon on 17 January while en route from Yogyakarta to Makassar. The Indonesian Marine Affairs and Fisheries Ministry confirmed that the missing aircraft was one of its patrol planes. On Thursday, media reports said the head of the National Transportation Safety Committee had received the suspected black box recovered by the joint SAR team from the crash site. He said the committee would require about 1 to 2 weeks to conduct its investigation once the black box is transported to its lab. The death toll from a massive fire at a major shopping mall in Karachi rose to 71 after rescuers found the remains of another 4 bodies on Friday. Karachi's chief police surgeon said that of the 71 bodies recovered, only 20 have so far been identified, as most were badly charred. She said the final death toll could only be determined once the identification of the remains is completed, as search efforts entered the 7th day on Friday, with dozens still missing. Flames burned for more than 24 hours before firefighters managed to bring the blaze under control. Gulf Plaza houses around 1,200 shops, including outlets selling clothing, electrical appliances, cosmetics and crockery. Officials said the presence of highly flammable goods contributed to the rapid spread and intensity of the fire. Another incident in Pakistan. A blast in a house where wedding celebrations were underway killed at least 5 people and injured at least 10 others in the northwestern Pakistani city of Dera Ismail Khan late on Friday. In a statement, a spokesperson for the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa Province Rescue Department said that 10 injured people were taken to the hospital. The explosion occurred during a wedding at the residence of the city's Taliban Peace Committee chief, identified as Noor Alam Masood. The director of Dera Ismail Khan Hospital, Farooq Jamil, had earlier said doctors had received 3 dead bodies and 7 injured people. No one immediately claimed responsibility for the blast. The Pakistani government has blamed the Afghan Taliban for providing a safe haven to TTP members, saying they used Afghan soil to plan their strikes on targets in Pakistan. The Afghan government has denied the charges, saying Pakistan's security is an internal problem. A former Canadian Olympic snowboarder, Ryan Wedding, suspected of becoming a cocaine smuggling kingpin, was arrested and brought to the US to face charges. Wedding is on the US FBI's top 10 most wanted list for allegedly running a transnational drug trafficking network responsible for transporting hundreds of kilograms of cocaine from Colombia through Mexico to the United States and Canada.
I also want to have a tremendous shout out to the government of Mexico. President Sheinbaum, Secretary Harfouche, and the military and law enforcement officers of Mexico worked hand in glove with our teams on the ground there to apprehend last night in Mexico City, Ryan Wedding. I was privileged to be there on a previously planned trip, and this was a great operation that came together through interagency success.
Wedding has been charged with overseeing a criminal enterprise and various drug trafficking charges. Wedding was also accused of ordering several drug-related murders, including that of a US federal witness in Colombia in January 2025, before he could testify against him. In sports, Malaysia bags 18 goals at ASEAN Para Games 2025. Stay tuned. Malaysia's medal charge at the ASEAN Para Games Thailand 2025 APG gathered pace yesterday as the athletes delivered 18 goals in athletics, swimming, powerlifting and table tennis to keep the national contingent firmly in the top 3 of the medal standings. Malaysia won 2 gold medals in the table tennis in the men's and women's singles events in Nakhon Ratchasima. Janatul Fahmi Ahmad Jannah claimed the men's single TT11 gold medal by producing a composed and mature performance to defeat host representative Sompon Tampitom 3-1 in the final. The bronze medal went to Ridwanullah of Indonesia. Janatul Fahmi described his gold medal triumph as a result of lessons learned from an early defeat in the group stage, as well as his ability to control pressure during crucial matches. In the women's single TT10 event, Gloria Garcia delivered gold for the country after overcoming Indonesia's Sela Dwi Radayana 3-2, with the bronze medal shared by Julani Cici of Indonesia and Intira Champandung of Thailand. Commenting on the final, Gloria said she had to change her strategy after her opponent opponent began to adapt to her playing style before regaining control in the deciding set through calmness and tactical discipline instilled by her coach. In powerlifting, Bibiana Ahmad came good after clinching the women's 67kg gold medal. Bibiana, whose journey into powerlifting began with the chance meeting with coach Jamil Adam more than 12 years ago, lifted 95 kg to confirm the gold medal, leaving Vietnam's Tran Thi Chau and Thailand's Anon Somkun to settle for silver and bronze respectively. Having only managed to get the bronze medal in several previous APG outings, Bibiana attributed her success, this time to a mental fortitude. Despite having the gold medal around her neck, Bibiana chose to remain humble, describing her success as the fruit of a long, arduous journey. The 38-year-old, who is based in Kuching and trains 4 times a week, is also glad to have finally achieved her target. Lee Zijia, the 2021 All-England champion, can forget about competing in this year's edition in March after finding himself named in the reserve list for the Super 1000 badminton tournament. On the list of players for the world's oldest tournament released by the Badminton World Federation (BWF), Zijia found himself 16 in the reserves list. This is possibly due to the 2024 Paris Olympic bronze medalist slipping down the world ranking, as he is currently ranked 103rd. Only the world's top 32 shuttlers are eligible to compete in the All-England Badminton Championship. Malaysia currently only have one representative in men's singles, namely world number 30 Leung Jung Hao. For the record, Zijia made an appearance in the Malaysia Open early this month after being plagued by injuries since hurting his ankle at the World Tour Finals in December 2004, before returning to action at the Orleans Masters and All-England in March last year. Ferrari drivers Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc tested their new cars for the upcoming Formula One season on Friday, treating their tifosi of fans to some laps around the Fiorano circuit. The SF26 model is the 72nd built by the Maranello-based team and ushers in new technical and sporting regulations focused on lighter cars, fresh aerodynamic concept and a new generation of power units. Attention now turns to next week's private pre-season testing in Barcelona from 26th to 30th January, with 2 traditional sessions also scheduled for Bahrain from 11 to 13 February as well as from 18 to 20th February. The first race of the season gets underway in Melbourne on 8 March. Ferrari are under pressure to perform competitively this season after failing to win a race in 2025. Hamilton also spoke of the massive challenge he and other drivers face this season in Formula One's new rules era. Last year was the 7 times world champion's first season with the sport's oldest and most glamorous team, and for the first time in his career, the sport's most successful driver failed to stand on the podium. Teammate Charles Leclerc also outscored the Briton by 86 points. Sweden's Oliver Solberg led a Toyota 1-2-3 after the second day of the season-opening Monte Carlo rally on Friday. Welsh teammate Alfyn Evans was in second place, with 9 times world champion and record 10 times Monte Carlo winner Sebastian Ogier completing the top 3 and close behind. Facing a mix of wet, muddy and snow-covered roads in the afternoon, Solberg and co-driver Elliot Edmondson continued to impress, setting top 3 pace in all 3 stages, winning stage 7. Solberg, the son of 2003 world champion Petter, led Evans by 1 minute and 0.8.4 seconds after 9 stages in the mountains north of the Mediterranean Principality. Ogier was a further 6.5 seconds adrift. Hyundai's Adrian Fourmeau ended Friday sitting 4th overall, albeit 5 minutes 0.5.2 seconds behind Solberg after an eventful day. The Frenchman was without the use of his handbrake, which meant at hairpin bends he had to reverse the car to get around. Thierry Neuville held 4th until his day unraveled when he became stuck in a ditch for 3 minutes in the final stage of the day. Luckily, fans were able to push the car back onto the road to ensure he held on to 5th. Saturday features 4 more stages, with the rally finishing on Sunday. Up next, colourful lanterns dazzle visitors ahead of Chinese New Year. Chinese mythological beings and horses lead up a lantern festival in China's southwestern city of Zigong on Friday to celebrate the upcoming Lunar New Year of the horse, which starts on 17 February. Dazzled onlookers gaze upon the sparkling lanterns at night in the park, with more than 200 handmade lanterns featuring animals, mythological beings and scenes from Chinese culture. More than 1,200 workers took weeks to construct the lanterns, including a 210-meter-long mythological creature Kunpeng and a 180-meter-long Chinese heroine Mulan.
因为我觉得淄博是一个很有年味的城市嘛，正好今年又是我的本命年，所以这一点都特别吸引我。然后在之前呢，在网上也有看到我们的这个北冥有与其名为坤这个灯组的话，特别吸引我，也想来见识一下。然后身后的这一个马的这个灯组呢，我也特别的喜欢。
The Lantern Festival has a history of over 1,000 years in Zigong, in the Chinese province of Sichuan. The Zigong Lantern Festival will run for at least another 5 weeks after the Zhuangziao Festival, a carnival day that marks the end of the Lunar New Year. The Canary Wharf Winter Lights Festival returned for its 10th edition with 16 light installations by artists from around the world. The free outdoor event in London includes immersive artwork around the theme Dreamscape. Artworks include a kaleidoscopic light box on a mirrored plinth, towering neon loops and an illuminated hand powered by AI.
So we are at Winter Lights Festival, which is in its 10th edition. This is a light art festival which has been going now for quite some time. There's 16 installations dotted around Canary Wharf for visitors to enjoy. It's totally free and it's open 5 till 10 every day. There's an array of works that have all responded to the same theme, Dreamscape, and there's something for everyone to enjoy, whether that's your younger family members or if you're looking for a night out with your friends. It's got a great collection of different works.
The Dreamscape team transported visitors into surreal and otherworldly realms, exploring the intersections of imagination, technology and human experience. The festival also featured 9 permanent light artworks from previous years, as well as a mix of returning favorites and new international artists. The festival runs until next Saturday. La Paz launched 40 Days of Carnival earlier this week with the traditional Desentierro del Pepino, or the exhumation of cucumber ceremony, a symbolic ritual marking the rebirth of the city's iconic mischievous character. Hundreds of residents watched a mock funeral procession outside the general cemetery where people in traditional dress carried Pepino's purple coffin through the streets, led by the municipal band and the city's mayor Ivan Iras.
El pepino boliviano, paseño, realmente es de origen de acá. Queremos agradecer porque aquí nacen sus raíces y estamos muy felices de recibir a toda la gente. Vengan al Carnaval de Bolivia, vengan al Carnaval de La Paz. El Carnaval paseño es hermoso y acá les va a recibir el lindo pepino. Así que un beso a todos y vengan.
The Pepino, inspired by European harlequins and adapted with Andean elements, embodies the joy and mischief of La Paz Carnival, which blends urban festivity with Aymara customs, including offerings to the Pachamama. That concludes our news for now. Until next time, I'm Sahih Samsudin. Salam Malaysia Madani. Thank you for watching and have a great weekend.